The story of Joseph is one of the most beloved in the Bible. Sold as a slave by his brothers, Joseph rises to become the second most powerful man in Egypt. His wisdom and ability to interpret dreams save Egypt from famine. But what if this famous story is more than just a religious tale? What if it contains a hidden connection to a real figure from Egyptian history, the enigmatic Imhotep? The Bible tells us that Joseph was brought before the Pharaoh to interpret his disturbing dreams of fat and thin cows and full and withered ears of grain. Joseph, guided by his God, understood that these dreams foretold 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. Impressed with Joseph's interpretation, the Pharaoh put him in charge of preparing Egypt for the coming hardship. This act of entrusting such immense responsibility to a foreign slave might seem strange. However, if we look closely at the historical context and consider the possibility that Joseph was the same person as Imhotep, the pieces of the puzzle begin to fall into place. Could this ambitious and capable young man, favored by God, have been the same individual who rose to prominence as Imhotep, the revered architect, physician, and advisor to the Pharaoh? An intriguing clue lies in the name of the God whom Joseph worshipped. In the Bible, God reveals himself to Moses as I am who I am. I am Yusef would be on Joseph's tomb, very similar to Imhotep, the name of Joseph's God right in Imhotep's name. Interestingly, the name of the Pharaoh who ruled Egypt during Imhotep's time, Yusef, includes the same element, I am. Is this linguistic connection a coincidence, or does it suggest a deeper link between Joseph's God and the religious beliefs of the Pharaoh who elevated Imhotep to a position of power? Perhaps Joseph, like the Pharaoh in Joseph's story, recognized the wisdom and power of the God whom Joseph served. This connection takes on even greater significance when we consider that Imhotep was instrumental in the construction of Joseph's famous step pyramid. This monumental structure was a radical departure from traditional Egyptian tombs, suggesting a possible shift in religious thought during Joseph's reign, a shift that could have been influenced by Joseph's beliefs. Imhotep was no ordinary Egyptian official. He was a polymath excelling in architecture, medicine, and writing. He is credited with designing the step pyramid of Saqqara, the first of its kind in Egypt. He was also revered as a physician and healer, his wisdom recorded in medical texts that were studied for centuries after his death. Over time, Imhotep's status transcended that of a mere human. He was elevated to the status of a demigod and eventually worshipped as the god of medicine and wisdom. This extraordinary rise to divine status is reminiscent of Joseph, who, although human, received divine favor and extraordinary power from his God. Could the biblical account of Joseph's rise to prominence reflect the historical trajectory of Imhotep? Both figures demonstrated exceptional wisdom, gained the trust of the Pharaoh, and left a legacy that extended far beyond their lifetimes. Section 4. Joseph and Imhotep, a bridge across cultures. Lending weight to this theory is the similarity between the names Joseph and Imhotep. Although seemingly different at first glance, a closer look reveals a possible linguistic bridge. The Egyptian name Imhotep translates to the one who comes in peace. Joseph in Hebrew means may he add. While not a direct translation, both names carry connotations of positive attributes, peace and growth. Could the one who comes in peace be a title, perhaps even a nickname, given to Joseph, who brought peace and prosperity to Egypt? Further investigation into the linguistic nuances of ancient Hebrew and Egyptian could potentially reveal other connections between these two figures. Section 5. A mystery for the ages. While we may never know for sure if Joseph and Imhotep were indeed the same person, the evidence we have examined presents a compelling case. The historical context, the linguistic connections, and the strikingly similar narratives of these two figures invite us to consider this intriguing possibility. Perhaps the story of Joseph, passed down through generations, is history wrapped in legend. Perhaps the legacy of Imhotep, celebrated in stone and papyrus, contains echoes of the biblical Joseph. The question remains open, a fascinating mystery waiting to be unraveled by future generations of scholars and dreamers.